Hi there! Well, here's a little update from Franck. Once you've linked Franck, you have to make proxy from Franck blend rig, and then, as you see, we have some props now. So, within the blend rig if we select the properties bone, we'll see that we have now this property called particles toggle that will toggle between particles and a low resolution mesh for fast display. So, you can animate the high resolution model now without seeing the particles. Then, as you can see, we have some props here. We have the rope toggle and also the timer toggle. So we have these two new props that the character has. So if you just want to use the character without props, you turn off these two properties and you start using the character. But if you want to use those props, apart from making proxy of the blend rig armature, you have to make a proxy from two separate rigs. We have the rope rig and the timer rig. And now we have both rigs here with us. So, in this property bone, we also have two other properties that are called coat rope shape and coat timer shape. Well, these two shapes are for when the character is wearing these props. So, first let's talk about the timer. So, I'll toggle off the rope and set the timer shape on. So now you can see we have the timer here, and well, the timer just is stick to the neck of the character, and well, the timer itself has this bone called timer master that lets you just move the timer around, and we have this pivot point that you can move and rotate the timer from a different pivoting point. And well, we have all these controllers that will let you adjust the timer as you want, and this controller for the timer part, and you can rotate this to tweak certain deformations. So again, this is a spline IK, so you can also rotate the controllers to have different kinds of deformation. We also have these controllers for the belt, so you can adjust the belt to the character. So now this has another bone that it's called timer attach, which is the bone that is attached to the neck, and this little bone has a property called timer detach. So if we put this property in 1, the belt is detached from the character, so we can move the character and the belt will stay in place. Well, I guess that's it for the timer, and now let's go to the rope. So let's turn the timer off, the rope on, and the coat shape timer off, and the coat rope shape on. So the rope, well, the rope has basically the part of the noose has the same functionality that I just showed in the timer. So you can just move this around and you have all these controllers to tweak the shape of the noose. And well, by moving the noose, as you can see, the whole rope is pulled. So when the character moves his head in certain points, he kind of pulls the rope. And well, we have this controller for the knot, so you can adjust there. We have all these controllers that are the parts that are in the air. So when the character moves his head, these parts are they kind of move along with the head, and you can move all these, you can rotate it, all these controllers. And this controller is different because this one kind of pulls the whole rope till the end. And then we have these yellow controllers that are called rope control. That, well, these controllers are kind of stretchy, you know, they stretch the rope, and we can always rotate and tweak the deformation. And well, we also have this rope pull that is kind of a master of the controllers that are in contact with the ground. So if the character and this controller will move along with the character when the character walks. So as you can see, this controller follows the character when he walks forwards. And if the character moves in another direction, you can rotate the controller to match that direction. Well, then, as I said, these are kind of stretchy controllers, and when you move them, they kind of stretch the rope. But these other controllers that are called Rope Control Master kind of maintain the rope's length. So when you pull them, they maintain the length of the rope. So these ones maintain the length and these others don't. If you put these controllers, the idea is that if you move these controllers and the character starts walking, the rope should straighten. So here's in this bone called rope pull, we have the rope straight property that will straighten the controllers. So you can have that kind of automatic effect when the character starts walking. And if this rope straight property is turned on, these yellow controllers don't move anymore, but they are moved by the master controllers. Just as like in the timer, we also have this noose attach bone, that is the one that is attached to the neck, and it has this other property called rope detach, and when we turn that property on, the rope becomes detached from the character's body, so we can move everything independently. So now I made a little demo of this in action, just a very silly posing, and I'm going to show how to make all props interact with the characters. So here we've got a Franck that moves towards Victor. So if we wanted Victor to grab the rope, we should first kind of detach the rope from Franck. But once we do that, these controllers kind of go to their original position. So the trick is that we have to add some visual keyframes to the noose attach bone, that it's kind of the master of the noose, and to this other rope pull bone. So we insert keys, visual log rod scale, and then if we put the rope detach property in 1, you see that the rope is detached from Franck, but it stays in place. That is because of the visual keyframes that I inserted in these two bones, noose attach and rope pull. So now the rope is detached from Franck, and now the thing is, how does Victor grab the rope? Well, if we were to do this manually, the best way is to just add a child of constraint to the noose attach bone that is targeted to the hand, to Victor's hand, and once we do that, we had to press the set inverse button, and now the rope should be attached to Victor's hand. And the trick is that we should insert some keyframes, a keyframe in the frame that we want the parenting to change. We insert a keyframe in the influence, and in the previous frame we insert a keyframe with the influence in 0. So that would be the way to kind of toggle the parenting to Victor's hand. But there is an add-on that can do this for us, and this add-on is called Dynamic Parent. So the thing is that we have Victor's hand FK, and we have the noose attach. Actually, the add-on does all these child of tricks for you automatically. So the thing is that you have to select first the parent bone, then you shift select the child bone and you hit create as you can see, this has created a child of constraint, and the influence is already animated from one frame to the other. So now Victor is the owner of the rope, and Frank can do whatever he wants, and the rope will still be with Victor. So then if we want to just cancel this parenting, you should just select the child bone, and in this dynamic parent add-on you press the disable button, and this disable button will add keyframes to the influence of the child of constraint, will set it to 0, but also it will add visual keyframes to the bone in question. So the parenting is turned off and the rope is where Victor left it. So well, this add-on is kind of cool. It kind of helps you to do this whole parenting stuff with the child of constraints automatically. So it's a nice idea to use it. So well, I hope that this is useful for you, especially for poor Healthy who has to animate all this. So well, see you next time.